ज्ञानतिमिरान्धस्य ज्ञानाञ्जनशलाकया चक्षुरोन्मिलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः। नमो विष्णुपादाय कृष्णपृष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदान्तस्वामिन्निति नामिने। नमस्ते सारस्वते देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेषशून्यवादी पाश्चात्यदेशतारिणे। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्त वृंद। हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे। We're reading from Canto 5, Chapter 14, titled The Material World as the Greatest Forest of Enjoyment. Text 16. Kvachit kala visha mitaraja kula rakshasapahārita priyatama dhanashuhu pramritaka iva vigata jiva lakshana aste. Translation. Government men are always like carnivorous demons called rakshasas, man-eaters. Sometimes these government men turn against the conditioned soul and take away all his accumulated wealth. Being bereft of his life's reserved wealth, the conditioned soul loses all enthusiasm. Indeed, it is as though he loses his life. Chapter 13 was a description. In fact, it was the preaching by Jadbharat to Maharaj Rahugan. And there, a lot of things were spoken about how a merchant is entering the forest and how he's troubled a lot. But after all this description that was given, Parikshit Maharaj, just so that all of us can get benefited by clear understanding of all that allegory that was discussed or described by Jadbharat, he asked Shukadeva Goswami that please describe this in detail so that common public like us can understand. Parikshit Maharaj is an intelligent person. He might have surely understood the purport of whatever Jadbharat spoke to Rahugan, but only because we don't understand the purport, therefore he asked this question. And to such an extent that the purport that Shukadeva Goswami gave to Parikshit, that also we cannot understand. So we need Bhakti Vedanta purport also. That is our current situation. So in the previous chapter, 13th chapter, Shloka 6. So this particular verse is one part of this verse is described in this particular shloka that we are currently discussing today. Kvachid vitoyah sarito bhyati parasparam chalasate nirandha asadyadavam kvachidagnitapto nirvidyate kvachayakshairetasu. So here it is said, Kvachit vitoyah sarito bhyati. So sometimes the person falls into the river which is shallow. And now that was discussed in 13th verse of this chapter that we are currently discussing. The 13th verse says that falling in the shallow river means obviously he'll break himself, he'll break his body, break his bones. Similarly, when the devotee, not devotee, the Jivatma, the conditioned soul, and the conditioned soul in this world, he comes in touch with very shallow people. Now, when the river is shallow, we cannot make out the river is shallow. From the top, if you cannot make out. Only when you jump and break your jaw or some bones, then we'll understand. But then, and many times it happens also, where devotees want to play in waters and they're a bit scared, fearful, what if it's deep? And then little bit they go around and understand, oh, this is what is the depth, so I can go around and play. But then, externally, just by looking at water, you cannot make out the depth of the river. Similarly, externally looking at the externals of a sadhu, you cannot make out the depth of his Krishna consciousness. Therefore, unfortunately, the person comes in touch with the shallow people and then he has tough time. He has tough time where he is in these clutches of these pseudo-gurus and he's seeking their cheap blessings. That's what shloka number 13 says. Now the second line of this particular shloka, parasparam chalasate nirandaha. It talks about how this person, he goes to other people in scarcity to ask for food. And this chapter, shloka 14, it was told that how when he cannot get food or when he cannot get the needs satisfied, he exploits his own near and dear ones like sons and fathers. The third part of the shloka, asadyadavam kvachidagni tapto. Asadyadavam. So he's experiencing. What is he experiencing? He's experiencing Agni. He's experiencing the Agni Tapa, the heat of the fire. And that is compared to family life. So shloka number 15, the previous shloka, it talks about family life. So this forest fire is compared to family life. And Prabhupada gives elaborate purport how it is compared to family life. Because the forest fire, no one goes and lights forest fire. There is a meeting and they discuss, today we'll go and lit that forest. It happens automatically. Similarly, in family life, you expect, you don't expect, you try for it, you don't try for it, the miseries and distress are going to come for sure. Therefore, shloka number 15, it says that the person is burnt by the fire of lamentation and he condemns himself. Many koi paap kya rahega? I am that papi because of whom all these family members I've got. You never know. So in this way, many times I've heard this, where family members are saying, Boji, my karma, that this person is born in my family. My karma. My karma, I got married to her. So such discussions. So this is what is spoken in shloka number 15. Now the last line, Nirvidyate kvacha yakshay ritashuhu. That is, the wealth is plundered by whom? Yakshaihi. The rogues and thieves. Or yaksha also means yakshas in the forest. And that is described in the shloka that we are discussing today, shloka number 16. And here Prabhupada says, very nicely he is saying, Kvachit priyatama dhana asuhu. Now this wealth is very, very dear to life. Therefore it is said priyatama dhana. And when it is aparita, when it is stolen, by whom? Rajakula, that is government officials. And they are compared to Rakshasas, demons. And these Rakshasas are Kala Vishamita. With time they become more and more crooked. And Mritaka Iva Aste, when that money is stolen from this person, he is almost dead. Vigata Jiva Lakshana, without symptoms of life. So now these government officials, they come and plunder the person, and this person who is plundered, he feels as if the life is taken away and there are no symptoms of life, is almost dead. So in the previous chapter, shloka 6, Prabhupada writes in the last paragraph about this particular thing that we're discussing about government officials. Prabhupada says, in 12th canto of Srimad Bhagavatam, it is said that in Kali Yuga, the government will levy taxes without reciprocally benefiting the citizens. Anavrishtya vinangshanti durbhiksha karapeditaha. In this age, there will be also shortage of rain. Therefore, a scarcity of food will arise and the citizens will be very much harassed by government taxation. So all these things are going to happen. In fact, it's already happening. Now, the shortage of rains, heavy taxes. Only thing is now, scarcity of food is not that great, but very soon it will come. Bhagavatam is saying, so it has to come. Very soon it will happen. And at that time, what people will do? In this way, the citizens will abandon their attempts to lead a peaceful life and will leave their homes and hearths and go to the forest in sheer disappointment. They'll be frustrated to live in cities. They'll just give up the city life and they will enter forest. And Srila Prabhupada, he made a statement. In fact, it's an instruction that was given to all the devotees in ISKCON that in future there will be many, many people who will come to ISKCON. They'll be frustrated, with this entire world. Economy will crash. Their lives will be miserable. And at that time, thousands and millions of people will come to ISKCON. So please make arrangements to receive them. So Prabhupada, he speaks about farm communities. ऐसे नहीं ISKCON center city में नहीं रख सकते उस time पे. How can we sustain when they are not able to sustain? So farm communities, Prabhupada was emphasizing, and he says that farm communities should be developed because in future people will search for such place and they will come. And we should be able to receive them and help them and take care of them. So this 12th canto, this particular verse is given. 12th canto, chapter 2, shloka 9, this Anavrishya is given. No? It says, Shakamulam shakshaudra phala pushpasti bhojanah Anavrashtya vinangshanti durbhiksha karapeditah. Now what will people do when they get frustrated? They will just sustain on shaka. Shaka means leaves. Mula, roots. Amisha, meat. Now this is not nicely fried meat. This is raw meat. Because in the forest they will be. And then Kshaudra, wild honey. Phala, fruits. Pushpa, flowers. Ashti, seeds. Bhojana, this is what they will be taking shelter of. Because they will be going to forest. Why they will go to forest? Anavrashtya vinangshanti. Because of drought. Because of drought, because of calamities, because of famine, they'll be ruined completely and they have to leave the place. Oh, is there any other reason apart from drought and famine? And the last line says, Durbhiksha karapiditaha. Because of, Durbhiksha means famine, karapidita, because of taxation and tormented by taxation. When government will levy heavy taxes and when there's already famine and drought, what will people do? They'll be frustrated. They'll go take shelter of the forest. And in the forest, whatever is available, they'll eat that. So this is the most difficult or the most critical phase of Kali Yuga that is going to come very soon. That is described here very nicely. And in this particular purport, Prabhupada writes, a small purport only. He writes, Srimad Bhagavatam authoritatively describes the future of our planet. Now only we can see this ozone depletion and this and that and rain scarcity and whatever. And groundwater levels are not there now. It's almost nil. So we can see all that. And here Prabhupada makes a very important point. Just as a leaf disconnected from a plant or tree dries up, withers and disintegrates, when human society is disconnected from the Supreme Lord, it withers up and disintegrates in violence and chaos. Despite our computers and rockets, if Supreme Lord does not send rain, we shall all starve. अभी virtual तो खा नहीं सकते ना हम लोग, AI. Then what will happen? This line is very nice. Just as a leaf disconnected from a plant or tree dries up, similarly when human society is disconnected from the Lord, human society will wither away. See this very nice shloka that comes in Srimad Bhagavatam. Taror yatha taror moola nisechanena tripyanti tat skanda bhujopashakaha pranopaharas chaitendriyanam sarvarhanam tathaiva sarvarhanam achyutejya. Here it is said, if you just water the roots of the tree, the entire tree will flourish. Entire tree will flourish. Now who is the root? The Supreme Personality of Godhead, Krishna. The trunk, the branches, the twigs, the leaves and all that is compared to all the living entities, be it in this world, in lower planets or in middle planetary system or higher planets till Brahma. All of them are compared to these different branches, leaves and twigs, etc. So it is said, if you just water the root, then everyone will be satisfied. But here is a question that we devotees, we are watering the root, no? We are at least trying to water the root. We are trying to worship Krishna. We are trying to satisfy Krishna. Then why is it that still people are suffering in this world? Why people are still suffering? Because we are watering the root. And if we water the root, the entire tree will flourish. Everyone will be satisfied. That's what the shloka says. Then why people are still suffering? And there's only one answer. What is that? Simple. The leaves, the branches, the twigs, or whatever, they are not connected to the tree. So that connection is something that is missing. And this is the connection that devotees do. They get that leaf that is fallen down and very quick and then that might not work. But they try their best to get the leaf back and connect it back to the tree. And this connection is possible. Maybe in this world, the leaves and tree we cannot connect. But living entities can be connected to the original tree, and that is Krishna. Very, very important. Therefore, it's very important to note that all the problems which are there is only because of the leaf not connected to the tree. We might give various reasons. Now there is drought, there is famine, there is this government official, all demons. Because of them we are suffering. Because of my neighbor we are suffering. Because of this brahmachari we are suffering. Whatever you want to call it as, whomever you want to point at, one thing is very clear, that because the leaf is not connected to the tree, because I am not connected to Krishna, come what may, I cannot be satisfied. I will always be miserable in this world. So in this particular verse that we are discussing, Shloka 16, here it is said, Rajakula Rakshasa. So here in this verse, the kings, the government officials, they are condemned like anything. And Prabhupada has made it very clear. Obviously they are one of the reasons, no doubt, but the main reason is we are not connected to Krishna. Now here, Rajakula, they are compared to whom? Rakshasas. Demons. Carnivorous demons. Carnivore or man-eaters. Now this is a nice thing. Rakshasas. So what they eat? We have example from Srimad Bhagavatam. We had one Rakshasi, Putana. And Putana's favorite drink was blood. Fresh blood. Fresh blood of innocent, delicate, small kids. So she will relish killing small kids. She'll relish drinking blood and eating them. So Rakshasas are the ones who kill human beings and eat them up. They are called Rakshasas. But now the question comes that government officials, they are not sucking blood. They are not killing anyone. Why they compared to Rakshasas? Because Rakshasas are the ones who will take life. Will kill the person, take away the life. But government officials are not taking life. They are not taking life. So why they are compared to Rakshasas? Just taking a tangent, I'm remembering this. I was hearing a class and a nice, what do you call it as? A quote. In Hindi they call it something else. So that was quoted. And it said that Yamaraj, he takes prana. But the doctors, they take prana and they take money also with that. And therefore, in that particular quote, the last line says that I pay my repeated obeisances to Yamaraj Sahodaraha, brother of Yamaraj. And that is the doctors. Nice look. Next time maybe I'll try to get that. Very funny. But here, why government officials are called as Rakshasas? Why they are called as Rakshasas even when they're not taking life? And here, again in the shloka itself, the answer is given. The answer is Priyatama Dhanaha Asuhu. So Priyatara and Priyatama. Dear, more dear and most dear. Now in our life, we'll have all these three categories of things. We'll have something dear, we'll have something more dear, and we'll have something most dear. Every single living entity will have a different set of dear, more dear, most dear. We'll not discuss on that. But in common, in this world, The most dear thing, Priyatama. Like in Bhagavad Gita, we have knowledge. Then what is that? More confidential knowledge and most confidential knowledge. Like that. Priya, Priyatara, and Priyatama. So, what is that most dear thing to the heart? And that is given here, Dhana. Dhana is very, very dear. So, when this Dhana is very, very dear, and when that is taken away, oh, then that's a problem. Therefore, in Srimad Bhagavatam, in one of the shloka, it is said, this Dhana is compared to Bhaya Prana. So, there is something called Anta Prana, which Rakshasas, like Putana, they kill the person and remove that Anta Prana. There is no need to remove. As soon as you kill the person, Anta Prana will leave. But Bhaya Prana is something which another species of Rakshas will remove, called Rajakula. So they are the ones who remove the Bhaya Prana, that is Dhana, money. When that is removed, oh, that is very, very painful, and that is equated to death. Now, one thing we need to understand is, why is it that people are so much attached to money? Why it is Priyatama? Why it is Priyatama? Because for them, money is everything. They have taken shelter of money. As soon as someone takes shelter, okay, let's say money, that is something that is temporary. And when that is taken away, when the shelter is taken away, all the problems arise. In this world, we take different shelters. So money is one of the shelter. People are another category of shelter. Many times it happens when the shelter is taken away, people go mad. Sometimes these boys come, who have lost their girlfriends. Lost, she ran away with someone else, and this person is coming and crying. And you should see these people. Nowadays, I'm not entertaining those people much. But before, a couple of years back, they would cry like anything, and I don't want anything in life, I just want her. Stupid fellow. And crying so much. And from him, we can easily make out when he's crying. So his shelter was that girl, and as soon as she was removed, this is the problem. Mad. When some family member dies, people go mad. Say the son has died. No, the mother, she goes mad, crying and rolling on the ground and whatnot she will do. At least our mothers will do that. I don't know now the ones who are there will become mothers, what will they do? I'm not sure. Srila Prabhupada writes in one of the purport that those mothers who are killing the baby in the womb, they're Rakshasis. Prabhupada writes. So anyways, this point is the shelter. When the shelter is removed, immediately the person will go through all these different things. First is, he'll go mad, get depressed. And at times, there are people who get into a state of coma also. There are many examples like that. Just because the shelter is removed. Just because the shelter is removed, the person gets into a state where there are no symptoms of life. Now let's speak about money. The money is taken away. I've personally observed this, in one of our distant relatives. Something happened, and in one night, they were bankrupt. They were millionaires, but they became bankrupt. And when that happened, the situation was really pathetic. Really pathetic. Almost like the people in the house went mad. Went mad, completely mad. And there were family members walking, but it was almost like there are no symptoms of life, just walking. Zombies. That was the situation. Why? Shelter is removed, immediately this problem came into picture. See, one thing we need to understand, all the shelters that we have in this material world, they are temporary first. It will be taken away anytime. Second is, they are under three modes of material nature. If you talk about human beings, they are under three modes of material nature. So I take shelter of someone, and that person is also giving me shelter. But kabhi uska dimag kharab ho jaye, usko bhi nahi pata. He does not know. Now he might be in mode of goodness, and then he is giving me shelter. And when he gets into mode of ignorance, he himself will not know what he is doing. Forget about we getting shelter from him. Therefore, in this world, whatever we look at as our shelter, we should understand one thing, that one day it will be taken away. And that day might be today, or it can be, some days later, but it will be surely taken away. Either it will be taken away or we will get rid of that, depending on what is actually troubling us the most. Therefore, it's very, very important to note that shelter, when the shelter in this material world is taken away, people go mad. People go dead, like this particular shloka says. The word that is given is pramrataka, dead. Like vigata jiva lakshana, bereft of all signs of life. He remains like that. But you see, when it comes to pure devotees, their shelter is very clear. Srila Narottam Das Thakur, he sings, Aha Prabhu Nanda Suta, Vrishabhanu Suta Juta, Karuna Koro Ei Bharo, Narottama Dasa Koi, Natheli Ho Ranga Pai, Tuma Bina Keya Che Amara. So beautiful. He's saying, Oh Srimati Radharani, Oh Krishna, Aha Prabhu Nanda Suta, Vrishabhanu Suta Juta. So, oh Nanda Suta, oh Krishna, oh Vrishabhanu Suta, Srimati Radharani, please shower your mercy onto me. And then he says that Natheli or Rangapa, I don't know anything apart from your lotus feet. Toma bina kiyache amar. Is there anyone other than you who are acting as my shelter? You are my only shelter. Ekhano bharosa tumi. You are my only shelter. This is the mode of pure devotees. See, when it comes to pure devotees, if you take away anything material from them, they will not get affected. But if there is any obstruction in their Krishna consciousness, then they go mad or they get disturbed. Like for example, in Krishna Leela, we see that when Krishna was captured by Kaliya, when he was subduing Kaliya, so at that time there were a lot of bad omens which were there. Thundering and then fox crying and some meteors falling, dark, and everything became dark. So at that time, Vrajavasis, who are epitome of pure devotional service, all of them, they became tensed. They became disturbed. Now there might be a question why they became disturbed. Did they become disturbed because now maybe bad omen means all that wealth that we have, the houses that we have, our kids, our spouse, something is going to happen to that? Was that their mood? That was not their mood. Their only mood was something is happening to Krishna. Something has happened to Krishna. And they all started searching, where is Krishna? Where is Krishna? And they were disturbed because of this. And in that great disturbance, they were going around crying, where is Krishna? And then finally, looking at the footprints of the Lord, finally they went on the banks of Jamuna near Kaliya Harad. And then they were able to see. And when they saw Krishna in the clutches of Kaliya, there were people who fainted. No symptoms of life. Like this verse is talking about, when the money is taken away, there is no symptom of life in this materialist. Similarly, for a devotee, when they see Krishna in trouble, at that time the devotee, he faints. No symptom of life. Same thing we see when Krishna was taken away by Putana. Mother Yashoda, she just fainted. No symptom of life. In this way, we see that how a devotee, here especially Brajavasis, it's not that they are worrying and they are fainting because unko kuch ho raha hai. It's not that they are worrying and fainting because something has happened to their family members or to their bank balance or whatever. Because something is happening to their Krishna consciousness. Yes, they were getting disturbed. Then we have example of Rupa Goswami. Rupa Goswami was in his deep meditation and then he is able to witness the pastime of Srimati Radharani and Krishna. And suddenly when a Vaishnava was walking, he saw Rupa Goswami smiling. He felt that he is smiling at me. He got offended. And Rupa Goswami's meditation broke. And Rupa Goswami got disturbed at that point of time. To such an extent, he wanted counseling. He went to Sanatana Goswami. Now tell me, when it comes to Rupa Goswami, they are the ones so wealthy. He was not disturbed. He was not affected. When all his wealth, he was giving away. He was not affected, when he gave up his position. Tyaktva turnamashesha mandalapati. He was not affected. But he got affected at this point of time when his meditation broke, when he was not able to witness the Leela of the Lord. This is called as disturbance in the life of a devotee. They are not disturbed because of material circumstances, but as soon as something is disturbed in Krishna consciousness, then they get disturbed. To such an extent that they need counseling. Rupa Goswami is going to Sanatana Goswami. Kyun hua ye mere saath? Why it happened? What is the reason? And Sanatana Goswami, as a counselor, is giving counseling. He said, don't worry. You call all the devotees for a feast, you will find that who has got offended. And finally they got to know. One more example is coming to my mind is Srivas Thakur. Srivas Thakur, when he saw his son dead, he was not disturbed. But the thought that the cry of these people and the information that the son is dead, if that reaches Mahaprabhu, who is dancing in ecstasy in the other room, he will get disturbed. His ecstatic dance will get obstructed. Thinking about that, Srivas Thakur got disturbed. To such an extent, he told all his family members, shut your mouth. If you don't shut your mouth, I'll give up my life. The symptoms and the life symptoms in my body will be shut completely. You see? See what disturbs a pure devotee. So Srivas Thakur he was disturbed just at a thought. Hua nahi tha aisa kuch. It was just a thought that he is having. If Mahaprabhu gets to know that this has happened, because these people are crying, he will get to know. So just because of this information going to his ears, his ecstatic dance will be obstructed. So better I give up my life before this happens. Haridas Thakur, everything was good. He was about to leave his body. He is not disturbed because his body is not functioning properly now. He was disturbed, extremely disturbed, with one thought. And what was that? No, that discussion was before. That is before. When he was about to leave the body at that time, what was that pain that he was feeling? Why he wanted to leave his body? Haridas Thakur told Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, I know very well. Your 48 years pastime is going to end now. Oh Lord, if you leave this world, I'll not be able to bear the pain of separation from you. So before you leave, I will leave this planet. I'll leave this body. So the thought, now again it's a thought. The thought that I have to live without the presence of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu on this planet was disturbing Haridas Thakur to such an extent that I will leave before. I'll leave this body before you, O Lord. I'll leave. See what is disturbing these great pure devotees. His body is in a pathetic state. He is very, very old. That is not disturbing him. The thought that my Lord will disappear, I'll not be able to witness him, I'll not be able to take his darshan, that's disturbing this devotee. Srila Prabhupada. How can we not give example of Srila Prabhupada when we're talking about pure devotees? Srila Prabhupada's health was really bad. His health was really bad. And when his health was bad, he was there in one of the Western countries. And there, Srila Prabhupada is really disturbed. Not because of his health. He's disturbed thinking about what has happened to the land in Juhu. Because he installed Radhakrishna deities there. And he's worried about the Lord's property. Did Mr. N, did he give the land to ISKCON or not? So he is disturbed because of that. Can you see that what disturbs a pure devotee? And can you contrast between the pure devotee getting disturbed and the materialist getting disturbed? This is a very, very important thing that all of us have to meditate on and contemplate on. This particular shloka says that when the Jivatma, the money is taken away by the Rakshasas, he is disturbed to such an extent there are no symptoms of life in his body. And similarly, comparing and contrasting with pure devotees, as soon as there is an obstruction in Krishna consciousness in the life of pure devotees, oh, they feel disturbed. They feel disturbed. So now we have to ask this question. Which disturbance is better? So the disturbance of a materialist or disturbance of a pure devotee? Disturbance of a materialist will always drown him in the pool of misery. I should say ocean of misery. But the disturbance in the life of a devotee for the Lord will always drown the devotee in pools of ecstasy. There's a difference between the two. Here also the person is in anxiety, the materialist. And here also the person is in anxiety, the pure devotee. But the materialist is drowning in distress and pure devotee is floating in ecstasy. Why? Because a materialist has taken shelter of temporary things of this world and pure devotee has taken shelter of Krishna, who is permanent. Therefore, Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur says, in this world, only Krishna and his holy name are permanent. Nothing else is permanent. Therefore, devotees are expected to take shelter of Krishna. When we take shelter of Krishna, at least we'll be saved. In this verse and purport, again and again, this point is repeated, that how when the money is taken away, the carnivorous demon, Prabhupada writes in these purports, if government men are opposed to a person, that person will be bereft of all his riches, which he has accumulated with great care over a long period of time. Actually, no one wants to pay income tax. Actually, no one wants to pay income tax. Even government officials don't want to pay income tax. But at unfavorable times, income taxes are exacted forcibly. The taxpayers become very morose. See the reason of moroseness of these people. Therefore, if we want to live a peaceful life, if we want to be blissful all the time, we have to change our shelter. Even for us as devotees who are practicing for quite some time, even a full-time devotees, we have to check, are we taking shelter of Krishna full-time? Or we are taking shelter of Krishna part-time? If we are taking shelter of Krishna for a particular period of time, okay, we'll be happy, we'll be blissful. But take it for sure that the rest of the time will be in anxiety. And that will be material anxiety. Material anxiety will keep us in distressed situation. Therefore, those devotees who remain morose, who remain sad, one thing that we can easily understand, or we can help that devotee if we are superior to him and he seeks guidance from us, we can surely help that devotee by analyzing his entire life and telling him whose shelter that person has taken. And surely the shelter will be something material. Sometimes it's money, sometimes one's own skills and talents, sometimes family members, sometimes some other set of people around who are supporting in whatever activities the person wants to do. But Krishna is not the center for sure. Therefore, only by taking shelter of Krishna and his devotees, one can remain peaceful, blissful, and like that, susukham kartum avyayam. Blissfully executing devotional service, the person will quit the body and come back to God at end of life. Otherwise, yes, the second option is always available. Always being in anxiety and distressed because of the changing shelters in this material world. Thank you very much. Grantraj Srimad Bhagavatam ki, Jagat Guru Srila Prabhupada ki Jai.